Well, good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Ella Thorpe from Tustin Longevity Center here in Southern California. And we are the Ask the Doctor or Talk to the Doctor. This is a venue we do every Tuesday at 6 o'clock to 7 p.m., where you can ask the doctor any question you would like regarding some health concern or question. And in a general sense, we will tell you our experience, what we might think, how we would approach it, what our thoughts would be regarding it. And what we use our experience, 41 years I've been practicing. We're a group of 6 healthcare providers here, Dr. Merrick, Dr. Johnson, Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Kaur, P.A. Patel, and myself, Dr. Ella Thorpe. We've been here over 21 years. I think it'll be 22 years this May. We're an integrative alternative practice. So altogether, we have, many, many decades of experience. I've been practicing integrative functional medicine for close to 40 years or thereabouts. We have um, a weekly program here every Tuesday at 6 o'clock. This is March 7th of 2022. If you have a question down at the bar here, you'll see at the end you can click on that and expand it, and it'll have the email to the clinic that if you give us your email, we'll send you a notification of the upcoming video time to remind you, and you'll see a link there. You can use that link to type in your question, and then I will get that in the form of these email questions here, and I'm going to try and answer them the best I can. The other thing you can do is if you're on YouTube, you can go to the chat here and type in your question there. And then, or you could mail it to us here as well, or call the office at 714-544-1521. So this evening is already filled with lots of email questions. I'll start there. And the first question is from Denise, and she gave the question on February 28th. I guess the email came in late after they were pulled to get it to my desk. And she said, "Hi, Dr. Rita. Can a melanoma spot on the back of the hand appear when there was no mole or other growth before that?" And the answer is yes. So as we age and our skin healing process begins to diminish, we heal slower. The whole idea of life is to go from a picture where there's a punch out in the bilipid cell membrane here to healing it all the time here. And as we age, that process of healing a injury like free radical stress, sunburn, a virus injury, toxin, dehydration, whatever it is, the rate of healing it is slower. So when that happens, then you have dysfunctional cell growth repair, and that can go wrong. So please see your dermatologist or have your doctor check that out and see if it's something that should be looked into. But the answer is yes, a spot on the back of your hand can appear when there was no mold or other growth. Very often, as we age on the back of our hands, you'll start seeing age spots. These are typically lipofuscin. This is a collection of fatty acids that are burnt or oxidized. It's similar to browning when you barbecue and you see the brown rail marks of the grill on the skin or on the chicken or the fish or the piece of beef. And so lipofuscin is oxidized fat. And that may be all that this is as opposed to a melanoma. But it's very common to see these appear on the back of the hand and are benign. So the next question is Megan. I just want to remind you again that this is not meant to be medical personal advice, but general concepts or general responses to what we'd be thinking of as doctors with our training, and an alternative practice as well. So Megan asks, she just did labs. Her AST, which is a liver enzyme, was 21 and the ALT was 18. Also did an ultrasound and the liver was enlarged at 21 centimeters. She states she does not drink, meaning alcohol, and she takes no prescription drugs. What would you recommend for an enlarged liver? Well, often an enlarged liver, 21 is, I think, I don't know the exact average measurements, but it depends on your body type, habit, because I think that's a borderline level. I think I've seen livers at 21 considered normal, but fatty liver will enlarge a liver. And so the most common thing I think would be fatty liver. If you have high triglycerides, anything that's above 100, 150 on the triglycerides, elevated fasting blood sugar above 85, insulin levels above 5, fasting, and hemoglobin A1C, that's 5.7% or higher. When your blood sugars are always at the upper limits of the accepted normal range for the lab, these are too high. I would much rather see them much lower. And so fasting, low carb, take that report, have your doctor look at it, Megan, and you could do a measurement of your fatty acids, triglycerides, lipids, your fasting blood sugar, your insulin, your hemoglobin A1C, and your fruit sugar, fructosamine. And you could also do a postprandial after you eat breakfast and wait an hour or two and repeat the triglyceride, fasting blood sugar, and insulin, and see the rate of increase to whatever you typically eat for breakfast. And that would give an idea if this is likely from chronically elevated, borderline high blood sugars, triglycerides, and so forth. But that's the most common cause. Veronica asks, you talked a few weeks ago about using lipoic acid for elevated liver enzymes. That's true. How does this help the liver? Is there a time of day that's best to take with or without foods? Alpha-lipoic acid is a powerful antioxidant, and it is involved with detoxifying items, being an antioxidant. The liver is very much involved in processing and detoxifying toxic materials, and in the process of doing it, when it converts from phase 1 to phase 2, there's an intermediate step that is actually even more toxic than the original toxin. That free radical can damage things, and lipoic acid is involved in metabolic pathways that will help the liver deal with oxidative stress much better. It also is involved in helping with blood sugar metabolism, so that the very common stress in the American standard diet is excessive carbohydrates, starches, sugars, and grains, and then sugary drinks and fruit sugar in our diet. This puts a great strain, especially from the fructose component of sugar. Remember, sugar is a disaccharide. It's a glucose and a fructose molecule linked together, and the fructose is processed essentially all in the liver, and it is really wreaks havoc in the liver. That's why I never recommend drinking juice at all, or sodas full of all that sugar. But that's essentially why lipoic acid is helpful, so that the damaged liver will have support from oxidative stress. And that one of the main stressors also is the excessive sad American diet, full of the sugars. Veronica asked the questions. You talked a few weeks ago about using, oh, I read that one. Pamela says, I'm going to be starting chemotherapy. Would doing a chelation therapy session beforehand be useful? And would doing one after each chemo treatment help to better detox me in between? I'm 73 with no kidney or lung disease. Oftentimes, chemotherapies use heavy metals in the uh, created chemical that's being infused that is what attacks rapidly dividing cells. And like cisplatinum, platinum is a very toxic heavy metal. And there are other chemotherapies with these types of toxic metals in it. And therefore, yes, chelation therapy will help remove it. What I typically have recommended is doing a high dose vitamin C the day before to try and build up your immune system. Remember, we don't make any vitamin C as human beings. We just don't have that ability. Guinea pigs don't have that ability, but all other mammals and animals have this ability. So that when they get injured or stressed, a cow or a goat or a dog or a cat, they'll make on an order of, 100-fold more vitamin C during this stressful time. This acts as a powerful antiviral, a powerful immune boosting protection. So when you take vitamin C at high intravenous doses, it doesn't act like vitamin C anymore. It starts acting itself like a pro-oxidant, and all chemotherapy is essentially all chemotherapy traditionally is an oxidative stress for rapidly growing cells. Immunotherapy is a different type of chemotherapy for cancers based on a different premise. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is if you take a high dose vitamin C beforehand, you're building up your immune system, you're helping your adrenals deal with stress, and you are working to keep your viral, bacterial, fungal potential. How do you say it? These viruses are looking for opportunistic situations with a stressed immune system. So I'll often recommend vitamin C 25, 50, 75, 100 grams the day before or two. And then after the chemotherapy is done, a day or two later to do the EDTA chelation. And I usually do it enhanced with at least 10 grams of vitamin C. So yeah, I do that before, typically the vitamin C, and then the enhanced chelation afterwards. And that's in general what we do, so that a patient will typically get chemotherapy once every 3 weeks on the average, because doing more tends to be so harmful to the cells that the chemotherapy would harm the patient and make them so sick they couldn't be ready for the therapy in 3 weeks. It's not that there's a lingering effect. Basically, all the effect is within the first 24 hours during cell division. So that's how I would do it, Pamela. Dana, Morton's neuroma. I've tried traditional remedies, ice, rest, not going barefoot, but to no avail. Any suggestions, as I'm not able to go for my daily walks over 45 days now? As of this week, I've gone to completely carnivore diet with the hope it'll help with the inflammation. Thank you in advance. Well, high dose high dose systemic enzymes would be a good first choice. and that would be the direction I would head, like Vascuzyme or Vitalzyme. And I would take probably 5 twice a day on an empty stomach, first thing in the morning and last thing before you go to bed. Lots of water. And then I would look for some kind of an orthotic that will help expand, open up your toes. And that, by the action of opening up the toes, blood vessels, veins, and nerves go to each area between the distal metatarsal, and then they split to go down one toe and the other, so that vein will split, and then the arterial will go to that toe and split to be in the other one, and then the nerve and vein will do that. So at this area here, this junction where the vessel of the vein, nerve, and artery come, they will bifurcate to go into the toe on each side. That becomes a busy area. And so stepping on it, each time stepping on it, you can see the rubbing action here. And then the body will build up fibrin material, sometimes calcified, which will then become kind of like a glob. And that blob or glob is called Morton's neuroma. It's the name of the man who identified it on anatomy. Anything that is disinflaming, like enzymes, drinking enough water, being very low carb, like a carnivore diet, and providing all the repair that brings the phospholipids and the essential fats to heal the tissue. So if you had some kind of an orthotic placed so that when you step on it, it makes your toes spread out, okay? That will help the space here, the space here, the space here, and the space here between all the toes, and it'll splay them apart a little bit more. Some people will take cotton or yarn and they'll put it between their toes like this with a little gauze or tape in between their toes to help them make their toes be splayed open a little more. But that would be my suggestion as well. Hopefully that might help you, Dana. Terry says, hi, Dr. Rita. What are your thoughts on ivermectin in relation to slowing down or stopping cancer, especially renal cancer? Thank you. Well, there have been a good deal of publications on several cancers, renal being one of them, renal cell carcinoma, and the overcoming, you might say, of the cancer cell. And this would imply that there might be some chronic viral illness that is creating chronic irritation, so that the repair of whatever is irritating the tissue there is maybe a viral origin, and it's trying to repair itself. But if you keep on having a poke in the cell membrane and your body's constantly trying to send growth and repair hormones to fix it, then at some point in time, especially with growth hormone and insulin growth promoting factors being stimulated by a high carb diet, that's when you see how these areas of chronic inflammation can generate a tumor finally, which is an outpouring of the body's frustration of inability to repair a damaged area or a constantly irritated area. So I'm pleasantly surprised. We have tried, after talking with some patients who have independently, electively decided to use ivermectin, an appropriate dose at 0.4 milligram per kilogram once daily. And we've seen some prostate cancers and other cancers, lung cancer, I think, was some of the earliest cancer. Now, there's many kinds of lung cancer, but there have been lung cancers that have apparently resolved doing this. So I don't see how it can harm anyone. Ivermectin received the Nobel Prize in 2015, the inventors, for this very essential medicine worldwide, so beneficial. It was recognized by the World Health Organization as one of the foundational medications and so forth. And it's been around and in use, billions of doses over 30, 40 years. And so I'm in favor of it, Terry. Dorothy says, what is the most effective way to relieve hemorrhoids? How can they be avoided? Do they ever disappear completely? Well, Dorothy, the hemorrhoid itself is the vein at the anal opening. And when there's constant stress, like bearing down like a bowel movement, the blood will pool in the veins. And if this is a chronic constipation, often bearing down, those veins that surround the anus there can become the wall, the pressure on the wall can kind of tear it open, and then you get this bulge in the vein. Blood will accumulate there and have an abnormal pathway, clot, and then become a firm and then site of irritation and inflammation and so forth. So one of the things we've always told people is to lay down, because you know what, you have about 3 feet of height above your anus when you're standing. So you've got 3 feet of venous pressure on that area, even if you're not bearing down with a bowel movement or have piled up constipated stool down there. So we say the more you can lay down, the better, in a protracted sense. Not that you stay absolutely bedridden, but the more you can lay down with your body, then your body's thickness is what, maybe 10 inches or so. Then the column of venous fluid that builds up is much less pressurized, you might say, from the height of the column if you were standing. The other thing is wonderful water, just drinking tons of water. The other thing is taking enzymes. Enzymes are the Pac-Man of the body, and they clean up debris and injured cells. When the hemorrhoid becomes so large that it's literally palpable with your hand, that usually has to be surgically removed. Very small hemorrhoids can be resorbed. Very often the tension in the vein there, the body is very sturdy and has natural connections in the elastin collagen sheathing of a vein. And this will not come apart, but to repair it, if it comes under stress, okay, to repair it, you need vitamin C. And so vitamin C deficiencies are implicated in part of the cell wall weakening. So I do believe in taking enough vitamin C every day. Also eating enough protein and collagen. Also staying well hydrated so you don't get firm stool. Taking probiotics, taking high fiber in your diet, laying down. Some people, and I've done this, I have compounded a ointment that has nitroglycerin in it. Nitroglycerin, like at a 0.05%, which is a very low percentage, as a gel. If you smear it around your anus there where the hemorrhoids are, it helps this bumped out area that has a blood clot in it. It helps it relax a little bit more, because nitroglycerin is part of helping nitric oxide to be released and dilate this area, and may release the enzymes and stuff in the water to get rid of that clot, and the enzymes will chew it up, which may allow for healing. So nitroglycerin cream applied 2, 3 times a day. This local to have a localized effect. You have to be careful with nitroglycerin if you have heart disease. Remember, nitroglycerin under the tongue can create vasodilation cardiovascularly for angina. So you don't want to overdo it with the topical. So I usually don't give it to people who have low blood pressure or on other vasodilators from their cardiologists and stuff. But if you don't have those medicines, I think that's a very reasonable thing to do also. And then of course you always want to eat a diet that's healthy in phospholipids and protein, so that when you reweave the elastin collagen and they adhere, the hyaluronic acid, the vitamin C, the elastin collagen will be strong, kind of like a Chinese. You remember that thing where you would stick your 2 fingers in it and it would be very firm? So that's what I would do for a hemorrhoid. Mary Ann says, I recently got diagnosed with seborrheic dermatitis on my scalp, and my doctor prescribed me Nizoral 2% shampoo. The treatment seems to be working, but the shampoo is quite harsh. Any suggestions on how to treat this alternatively? Well, seborrheic dermatitis is showing that there's lots of little irritations on your scalp. I don't know how often you brush or you wash your hair, or what you're using, or what maybe your salon's hairstylist is using, but lots of pokes in those cells. And we always have bacteria and viruses and fungi on us. I mean, we're teeming all the time with fellow travelers. The argument is made, if you think of all the biofilm that's in our gut, the trillions of bacteria, all their unique DNA, the billions and billions that are on our skin, in our hair, and so forth, in our sinuses, all that DNA is foreign, and most of it is irritating. So if you're constantly scratching your skin, creating little injuries like this, overwashing your hair, drying out your oils that normally want to keep the cells that are in the dermis, the dead cells that pack up and kind of create a seal to your skin to hold in the moisture, to hold in your oils, to give you some structure and thickness. But you're always washing it off. You're going to create these tiny little micro injuries where a adventitious opportunistic bacteria, virus, fungi is going to try and get their way in and start creepy crawling and munching on the old dead cells, and setting up his house and cave and so forth. And another thought is that food reactivity, chronic inflammation creates a reduced immune system from leaky gut, a permeable gut cell membrane. And those tons of bacteria create an alarm in your gut-associated lymphoid tissue. So your immune system is being wasted on your gut and breaches of the wall there. Maybe you have wheat allergens or dairy allergens from homogenized pasteurized dairy, or you have gluten allergens or other food allergies, and you just keep on eating this pattern, and you keep on injuring, and you keep on getting leaky gut. So you're wasting your immune system there, and therefore it can't control this. The other shampoo that I tend to recommend for seborrheic dermatitis is Selsum Blue, and that's a 1 or 2% selenium, because the mineral selenium has a very powerful immune supportive activity. Of course, healthy nutrition, have a good zinc level, don't wash your hair so often, be all these dyes of the hair and coloring of the hair and blow drying the hair and heating the scalp up, drying the scalp up. If we don't eat enough fat, healthy fats, remember the this picture here of the cell membrane, the bilipid membrane is the same as these pictures here, only this is in more detail. And on each protein, which this is the protein right here, these are essential fatty acids that are surrounding and hugging it, you might say. They're attached to these phospholipids here, and they stick and hug to the receptor proteins. These are the essential linoleic and linolenic and alpha-linolenic and linoleic acids. They are damaged with all processed foods. Omega-6 fatty acid, which is essential for health and life, is damaged with heating, hydrogenated trans fatty acids. And even if the package says there's none, there is a government loophole that I think allows a 0.5 milligram trans fatty acids per serving. So they can claim no trans fatty acids, but yet a 0.5 milligram or some low level. But you eat this over and over, and you're getting trans fatty acids. So you're damaging your cell membranes, okay? And these fatty acids are being lost because we're not eating them. We don't eat enough healthy free range beef or fish or chicken with the skin on it, or the egg yolks and butter, and so we are becoming a bunch of people who are made up of cells with a bunch of holes in it, and you're not able to fix your cell phospholipids, cholesterol in the wall. There are these essential fatty acids that are in these pictures. So that's what we do for Severiac. She went on to say, I appreciate all the time and energy you put into your work and live streams to keep us informed and empowered. I wish there were more doctors like you who are actually in the business of promoting good health practices. Much love to you. Marianne, thank you so much. I am seeing more and more doctors coming, asking to shadow us doctors here, and that's why we have these chairs here, because we have it so often now. They come. I am seeing some good YouTubes being put out. Not many of them are live questions, though, where the doctor will try and either take these your emails or do the live chat. They'll just interview someone. So pray that we have the strength and the time and the energy to do that. Vicki, and thank you for the wonderful, kind comments. We give all praise and glory to God. I'm just a product of what God put together that I could have never figured out or planned for. Remember, I met my husband at 16 and dated, and I got married when I was 17 to him. I had no plan to be a doctor. And, it's just funny. We're starting 52 years of a relationship now. So praise the Lord. We give him all the glory. Vicki says, what type of doctor should I see for hip pain before it gets worse and I need a hip replacement? Or are there exercises that would be helpful? Well, Vicki, you want to build up your muscle, because as we are aging, the deltoids in our shoulders, the hip muscles, the abdominal, the psoas muscle to help us from protruding forward, our glutes, our lumbricoides that align our spine. I mean, it's all a wonderful orchestration of muscle, tendon, and synchrony. But we lose muscle mass with aging. We become dehydrated with aging. So if you're losing the muscles that hold you up to do everything you need to do, bend forward and so forth, and you're not putting effort in to, do some overhead deltoid pull down weights against resistance, to do some weights with your latissimus dorsi on your scapula, with your arm lifting a heavy weight or pulling the weight or pushing against the weight for your pectorals. If you're not doing biceps, if you're not doing leg presses, if you're not doing leg extension and flexion, hip abduction and adduction, abdominal crunches, you are going to be dissolving away. If you don't eat enough protein every day, you're going to be dissolving away. If you're always eating bread, pasta, too many nuts and seeds, cracker, rice, beans, oatmeal, quinoa, couscous, hummus, tortilla crackers, tortillas, corn, bread, bagels, pasta, crackers, chips, cookie, sweet drinks. We're not made of carbohydrates. This is all fat and protein, and your muscles are fat and protein. And there's essential fats that you have to have, like we talked about. So steaks and chicken and fish and egg yolks and pork chops and shrimp and lobster and crab, so that your body can extract this. And then hormones like estradiol, testosterone, and progesterone are part of helping our body do remodeling, general contracting, but only if you're using it and using your muscle or pulling that weight down. Then you have to have capillaries and you have to have enough water to dissolve the building blocks into, to get it to every muscle everywhere in this little thin, teeny weeny capillary beds to every part of your body. Many times we don't stretch. So Pilates or a regular stretching program will, bring your body and expand your vertebra and let those discs in between each vertebra, those spongy areas between each vertebra has a disc in it. When you bend one way and squeeze one side of it, you kind of make a wedge when you're bending this way. But then when you bend the other way, it expands and sucks in water. But you got to drink enough water to do that. So you want to build your muscle. You want to exercise that muscle. Dihydroepiandrosterone helps with that. Estradiol helps with it. DHEA is also a precursor to testosterone that helps you build your muscles. Eating the protein, eating the essential fats, getting a good night's sleep. I mean, literally having good, healthy sleep hygiene. Getting a good night's sleep every night is very important in your repair of your gut so it can absorb what you're eating. Not eating late. The older we get, that reminds me, I got to take my digestive enzymes myself. And if you don't digest your food, then you won't break down the protein to get the amino acids to make the muscles as well. When I take my capsules, my any vitamin, I take 2 at a time with a big gulp of water, and I don't swallow it right away. I swish it around in my mouth so my saliva will start secreting, and it will start making the capsule slippery, and it helps to go down much easier. So I would just encourage you to do that rather than throw it back and try and force it down with the water. It's nice when you let your saliva action work on it and you take 10 seconds and before you swallow. So that's what I would say about hip pain. I have found, I am so thankful I have no pain anywhere. And I honestly think it's my hormones, my testosterone level, my DHEA. I have my routine with sleep. Early to bed, early to rise. I'm always up 5 or a little earlier. Always trying to hit the sack at 9:30. And then I'm well hydrated. I have my rules about my water. I have my boundaries. I won't eat late so that my stomach is empty so I can extract out of my diet what I need. And I feel so healthy and so mobile. So I can do my workouts, so I can do my Pilates. I will be at Pilates tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. I'll be there an hour and work out. So I'm just so thankful. Uh, and yes, the hips will hurt. And my sisters who don't use hormones, their hips hurt. Uh, my other sister who did the hormone and still does it and does Pilates and exercises and does low carb and takes her digestive enzymes and systemic enzymes. The one that's on here, Debbie, you'll see her join in with us. She doesn't have this problem either. So it's not just us. It's the way we should be. Um, Sherry says, I have been diagnosed with yeast in my gut. We all will have yeast a little bit, all of us, no matter how who you are, because it's in our foods, it's everywhere. Uh, but it will grow if you eat a high carb diet. It will grow if you eat a lot of starchy foods that yeast loves sugar, and then that sugar suppresses the immune system, and then that will harm the healthy bacteria, and you'll start getting an imbalance in your gut, and it'll have yeast overgrowth. Okay. She said, I've been diagnosed with yeast in my gut and almost have to wall around my gut. I don't know what you mean, wall around my gut. My symptoms were constipation, and then came autoimmune disease of Hashimoto's thyroid. That's very common. My question is, I have fungus on my toenails for over 15 years, and I was always discouraged from treating it with medication. Could that have caused yeast in my gut? Should I treat my toe fungus with medication? A toenail grows so slowly, we become impatient. Uh, it takes about a full year for one uh, great toenail to grow from the base of the toe where the skin meets the start of the growth plate on the nail until the edge where you trim it off. It takes about a year. And so fungus can be gotten rid of with a very low carb diet, all the things we talk about, enough water, exercise to have pumping, hydraulic pumping and oxygenation of the tiny, tiny, tiny little capillaries down there, because fungus hates oxygen and it loves fermentation, lack of oxygen. And so it needs lots of sugar to survive and grow. So if you are very low carb or carnivore like a ketogenic diet, you don't eat late, you have intermittent fasting, time restricted eating, so that you're only eating in a 6 hour window, say between 11 and 5 p.m. You keep in grams to roughly 20 grams or less, and you do that all year long, your gut's going to heal. If you eat enough healthy fats and proteins, you don't eat late at night. I would take probiotics. I would use digestive enzymes, systemic enzymes. And then for the gut, you could use something like grapefruit seed extract. You could use uva ursi. You could use other herbs that are associated with killing off yeast and have been tested. Even the Argentine silver will kill it. I often have people put Argentine silver on their nails, soaking the keratin of the nail and the nail base and under the rim of the toes. And the Argentine silver kills the fungus. So there's many things you can do with. I just don't prescribe prescription medications for fungus because it's a band-aid. If you're not going to change your diet, if you're not going to work at this, get your body moving, start with what you can, and then build on it. All you have to do is do one good thing starting tomorrow. and do that for a week or two, and then add another good thing 2 weeks from now, and then another good thing. And then suddenly, a month or two from now, you're doing 2 or 3 good things for your body, and all these things will benefit you. So be kind to yourself, forgive yourself, help your body to do what's right. Get a few all natural substances, the Argentine silver, and put it on your toes morning and evening. Keep the shoes open toed as best you can. Very low carb diet, lots of water. EDTA chelation will help improve the microcirculation and heal it quicker. So all these things will be helpful. And then Tricia says, thoughts on taking creatine over 60? Well, it's involved in muscle building, so it's going to work. It's just the rate of building and the effort is harder the older we get. Therefore, you just have to use your wisdom and your age with maturity and understand, okay, it'll be a little slower going of healing, but I'll get there. It's the turtle in the hare story. The turtle wins because he's dedicated. He knows if he study, he'll get to the finish line. The hare is impatient and runs all around and goofs off and gets into trouble. So I think using creatine for muscle building is very wise and very beneficial. But then again, I think if you just eat meat and fish and chicken and beef and eggs, and you get, all this foolishness out of processed foods and sweet drinks and treats, reserve true treat days to a once a month limit. Then that's what we should do. Well, hopefully that helps you. The next question is on the next page here. Pamela says, in addition to eating well, drinking water, do you have any suggestions for dealing with arthritis in the spine and narrowing of the foramen and central stenosis? Well, there's no real healing. In the 41 years I've been practicing central stenosis is a chronic, low-grade inflammation process that I do believe if you take systemic enzymes, you drink your water, you're very low carb, you do resistance training no less than twice a week, and you do aerobic training twice a week, you get a good night's sleep, you take your enzymes morning and evening, you build up your posture and your muscles, natural hormones. EDTA chelation is extremely valuable in the microcirculation. Anytime you improve circulation, you're going to improve any part of your body, all diseases. So yes, EDTA chelation is a solution for every issue ever brought up to me. And I've always seen it work. Now, you have to do, 30 IVs is what the typical recommendation is, and study as she goes. Like, remember the turtle and the hare. Some people need 60 and then do a maintenance, 10 a year thereafter. I've been doing chelation for decades and decades. I'm sure I feel healthy today because of all the tiny circulation. I'm sure part of my skin and complexion, and the thickness of my skin, so I don't look so aged, is the circulation as well from chelation therapy I've done all these years. So that's what I would say, Pamela. All right, now let's go to our YouTube chat. And the first is from David. And he says, please explain the difference and your preference between the following diets: keto, ketogenic, ketovore, carnivore. Well, really, carnivore is a pure, all 100% animal products. That could include fish, that can include poultry, that can include pork. that can include eggs and dairy, because it's any animal product. That's carnivore. That's the highest, purest form. That's what I like. That's my preference, especially for rapid healing. It is the most nutrient dense, mineral rich, even organ uh, uh, meat and organ from animals, eating the liver, eating the heart, and so forth, and kidneys and such. These have vitamin C in it. Ketovore is a bit, I believe, a blending between a very low carb diet where you allow in vegetables like broccoli, asparagus, green beans, Brussels sprouts, spinach, buttered up, but you keep those carbs extremely low, well under 20 grams. The term keto and ketogenic are a diet in which most people can eat a certain amount of carbs if they're very mindful of the amount of starch in a plant product that they're going to eat. And so if you're working out a lot, weightlifting, doing running, doing HIIT training, high intensity training, you can probably get away with maybe up to as much as 50 grams of carbs a day. And I know some very young people who can have almost up to 100 grams of carbs a day. But again, it can't be these simple carbs. It can be more of the complex carbs, maybe some squash, maybe some uh, zucchini, maybe some a little bit of sweet potato. But these are kids who are very active, working out, athletes. The average person, I think, needs to stay at 50 grams if they're working out on a routine, and they're very good with it. Those of us who are not being driven by a personal trainer, and we're doing our walks, we're doing our weight resistance training, Pilates, whatever you're doing, I think it's safer if you try and stick with a 20, 25 gram limit, especially the older you get. So that would be my answer, David. Carlo says, blessings, Dr. Rita. You're the best. Well, only God's the best. But thank you, and I do appreciate those that are watching, and hopefully if this is of value to you, please like and subscribe, leave a comment. I do look for comments. Share this with a friend. Take the notice of the next video and say, if you have a question, she'll answer it. You don't have to be a patient. But again, it's not personalized. These are generalized statements. Thank you, though, Harlow. Laura says, chronic indigestion already take complex digestive enzymes, complex pills before each meal, and ox bile and fermented foods. Still struggling. Is there anything to get my digestive enzymes up and working, Laura? Yes. Well, I would want to know what your vitamin D level is. Vitamin D is so important in so many, many cell receptors throughout the whole body. And the impact on the gut health and the amount of diversity of the good gut bacteria that helps with digestion. Your bacteria in your gut is also part and parcel of helping you make vitamins, helping you to keep bad bacteria and opportunistic flora away. It helps prevent endotoxins and irritations in the gut. So I would check your vitamin D level, and I would take a probiotic, that has a broad spectrum, the Bifido, the Lactobacilli, the Saccharomyces boulardii. And I do like the spore-forming probiotics in Orthospore IG. So I take Orthospore IG, I take Orthobiotic, and I take a third one. Um, what is the name of it? O'Hara's. So I'm taking 3 probiotics a day. Um, and again, I will not eat past roughly 5, 6 o'clock. You might back that up and not eat past 3 and make your window of eating 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. That often is good. Having good nighttime, good hygiene, going to bed on time earlier, 9:30 all the time, getting up earlier, and exercise is associated with stimulating the environment of your gut to promote growth and repair hormones. I mean, there's so much research going into the microbiome and the flora and the vitamins. You might also consider, what your blood type is. You might need more digestive enzymes. I take 5 digestive enzymes. I'll probably take another 2 or 3 more when I get home. I just want to be in front of you doing that. I normally take 5. I took 2 so far right now, but I could tell I ate at 4:30, so I could feel the food is still in me, and I don't want to belch or burp when I'm talking to you. So I know I need more. So you might take more, Laura. All right, so those are just some ideas there. Vitamin D, don't forget it. And then you might also want to take a B complex, like a mid-range B complex that has all the 8 essential B vitamins in it. Not high dose necessarily, because B5 pantothenic acid helps you make acetylcholine, which is involved in peristalsis, your parasympathetic system, which helps and aids in digestion. And many people are not making that hormone called acetyl coenzyme A, acetylcholine, which is the digest and rest side of your innervation of the gut, whereas the sympathetic side is the epinephrine fight or flight side. So think about a good B vitamin with enough vitamin D and pantothenic acid, 50 milligrams a day. That's vitamin B5. Dolores says, next month I will be traveling and be on an airplane 5 or 6 hours. I take 2 Immune Protect each day. Should I take more? Any other supplements I should take? Thank you. Well, if you're going to be on a long plane flight, I would not eat. And I'm just sorry that sounds so unfun. But the older we are and the more oxidatively stressed, and you're flying through the sky and you're higher off the ground, and so the sun's radiation is getting there. It's like getting a chest x-ray, every 2-3 hour flight. So you're going to wind up getting maybe two equivalents of a chest x-ray with that many hours flying. And then I would drink boatloads of water. I would take extra vitamin C powder, and I would put packets of vitamin C or scoops of vitamin C in my water to promote bowel movements. I would take my Juice Plus antioxidants. I would take extra vitamin D. And let's say you're on 10,000 a day with K2, I would at least take 2 of them, 20,000 for the day before the trip, the day of the trip, and the day after, or 2. And then when you get back on the plane the day before you get back on to return home, the day of the trip, and 2 or 3 days thereafter, with extra vitamin C all the time, with that extra vitamin D, plenty of water, and not why you don't want to get any blood clots from long seating time, the oxidative stress of flying. And the other thing is I would take your systemic enzyme, Vascuzyme, Vitalzyme, or Proteozyme, and I would be taking, maybe while I'm on flight or upon, getting to your flight, I would take 4 as you sit down or the morning thereof, and then 4 when you get on the plane, and 4 more after you get to where you're planning to go on an empty stomach. So you have all this anti-inflammatory going on at the same time. That's what I would do, Dolores. Let's see, Robin says, hello, what blood tests, diet, or exercise do you recommend after having a TIA? Well, I would do EDTA chelation therapy to improve microcirculation. Drink your water, be low carb, be on a time restricted eating frame. Find out what your blood type is. You might need digestive enzymes, especially if you're a blood type A. I would never eat past 6 o'clock at night. I would fast 1 day a week, 24 hours. I would exercise with both some moderate resistance weight training twice a week, but definitely a planned, 20, 30-minute brisk walk every day for aerobic, EDTA chelation, vitamin D, eating a diet that will help repair the blood vessels, with the healthy fish, meat, chicken, beef, eggs, and so forth. And what else would I do? I would take our clinician preference parent essential oils, definitely. So the oils, the healthy proteins in your diet, time restricted eating, walking briskly, and some weight resistance, EDTA chelation, systemic enzymes. And that's what I would do. All right. Let's see, Laura, you're type O. Thank you. So Laura, yeah, well, if you're older, Laura, let's say always start needing digestive enzymes at least sometime around age 65, 70. So you might need, a lot more digestive enzymes than you think. Well, my dear friends, we are now at 7:03, and I have to get home, get some rest, and take good care of my body. I want to thank you all. Again, if you liked and benefited from this, share with your friends, like and subscribe, leave a comment, and we'll go from there and see you next week, Tuesday, 6 o'clock. Remember, you can, on your emails, put your question in that email, see the link in your email, and we'll go from there. God bless you all. Take care.